What's on the agenda for this week's episode of How to English TEFL Pod?
Well, Gav, we're starting off by reviewing some collocations from last week's episode.
Then we'll clear up any confusion around dangling prepositions.
And we'll tackle the question of who should choose the lesson materials.
Plus, we're diving into explaining the results of actions.
We'll also cover the essentials of email etiquette.
And for our quiz of the week, we'll have some fun with animal names that double as verbs.
Followers, don't forget to share our podcast with someone you think would enjoy it.
All right, let's get started.
Welcome everybody, this is How to English, Teach and Learn with Gav and Em.
It's a podcast about teaching and learning English as a foreign language.
All opinions stated are personal and references will be given when necessary.
Em, I'm so pleased with your results from last episode. Do you remember you did a quiz on Quiz of the Week?
Yeah, it was fast and frantic.
It was collocations, and I think we might have a look at a few of them today.
Okay, what was my score?
Well, your score, Em, do you remember each correct answer you got 1,000 points?
Oh yeah, now I remember.
Well, you managed to get a total of 35,000 points, but I'm afraid you took longer than the 60 seconds you were allowed to, therefore forfeiting your points, failing, in fact, to get any points. You got 0 points for the last quiz.
Oh, that's a bit harsh.
I'm terribly sorry.
Could I not just have the points that I got within the 60 seconds?
No, I kind of mentioned that I wanted you to do it in a faster time than that 60-second quiz you did last time, but you failed to do that.
Wow, Gav, games must be really fun in your classes.
I have to be strict, I'm sorry.
Everyone gets 0.
Yeah.
Losers. Well, that's fine, I can take it.
Fortunately, Em, I didn't delete the document and I'm now looking at those collocations. I think there's one or two that we could go back over. For example, if we were to talk about something being spick and span.
Spick and span meaning very clean.
Spotless.
Spotless, nice word.
Would that be your face, your clothes,
no,
a room,
I would
the moon?
Say it's probably after you do the cleaning, a room or a house or a area, possibly a thing, but I would say it's more to describe a room, isn't it?
It sounds like a clean room to me. How about the expression hustle and bustle?
Oh, I like that one. That means, it's a good one actually. What does it mean? It's all the movement and the noise and the activity going on, usually describing a city.
I was thinking city.
Or something like rush hour. It's definitely a city, isn't it? A lot of people living together in one place.
I'm picturing buses and trains and stations and people travelling to work, coming back from work, or maybe it's a Saturday. Everybody's going to the shops and buying all of their favourite things. Hustle and bustle.
I don't know why the word jostle comes to mind as well.
You might need some sharp elbows, as people say.
Yeah, jostling for a place on the train. See if they can get that last seat before someone sits in it.
Or jostling past 10 other people in order to get that discounted aubergine.
Yep.
So we're pushing or bumping roughly against others, Em.
Yes.
Not only for aubergines, could be any type of vegetable that you have your eye on.
Gav, I remember another collocation from last episode, and that was black and blue.
Black and blue. I think I was talking about falling down the stairs.
And that would result in you being black and blue, meaning what?
And red all over. That's an old joke, isn't it?
I think something with penguins, I'm not sure. But what does it mean?
I think it means bruised.
Yes, the colour that your skin turns when you bruise. Black and blue.
Would you describe a peach after you've dropped it as black and blue?
Nope.
Only people.
Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't, personally. Sounds like somebody after a fight or something.
That's black and blue.
Yep.
How about kith and kin?
That would be a bit like nearest and dearest, wouldn't it?
Is that your family?
I think kin is definitely a family, but is kith friends?
Kith is one's relatives.
So it's family and family?
Yeah, it sort of suggests further and closer family.
Oh, extended family an immediate family.
That's it, the nuclear and the satellite.
I'm not sure. Okay, micro, macro. So kith, we don't really use kith, do we? But you might see next of kin written on a document or something, meaning who should we call if you have a horrible accident and you fall down the stairs and you're black and blue?
Yes, or if you're inheriting something.
Possibly. Usually it's the last person you called on your phone.
Ah.
Maybe not. Don't quote me on that. I'm
not sure you could access people's phones these days. Maybe a piece of paper in your pocket with an important number.
This isn't a good direction. I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's going random quickly. A couple more. We've got ups and downs.
Maybe this goes a bit with trials and tribulations. You know, in life generally, you've got your ups and your downs, your good times, your bad times.
It's a really nice collocation, isn't it? I love those words, ups and downs.
Yeah, but you can be a bit more general with ups and downs, I guess. It could be for anything. Progress or stock shares, that kind of thing.
I'm seeing them on a graph, and this graph is rising or it's falling.
Yeah.
I've got my ups, I've got my downs. It reminds me of another word that we don't typically pluralise, which is do or don't.
Huh?
Your do's and don'ts.
Meaning, how's that connect to ups and downs?
It doesn't, but it's another word that we don't typically pluralise.
Oh, I got you. You don't usually put an S on up and down as a noun.
That's it.
Yeah, sorry. Usually it's to be down or to go down, but to actually talk about it as a noun, as a down, we usually say it's a downer, maybe. It's a thing that makes you sad, a downer. I don't know. But yeah, a down, an up.
It's a situation where something is falling or has a negative impact, I guess.
But we don't tend to talk about them individually, do we? We don't say, oh, I've got a down at the moment, or this is a down. It's only the ups and downs, plural. Good point, Gav.
I know that you said we're going to talk about this one, so I have to mention, and possibly around Halloween time, one might come across blood and guts.
Okay.
Ooh.
Otherwise known as gore, I guess. Lots of innards, entrails, vital organs, maybe, that are on the outside where they should be on the inside. And what goes with all that is a lot of blood. Yeah, so I don't like films with a lot of blood and guts, I might say. I think it means violence, Gav, where people get hurt a lot. I think they call it gratuitous violence.
And our last one must be the wonderful collocation of odds and ends.
Interesting. What do you think odds and ends is?
Odds and ends are bits and pieces.
What are they?
Things and stuff.
Okay, so you might have a drawer in your kitchen full of odds and ends.
Everybody's got a drawer in their kitchen full of odds and ends.
And bits and bobs. So we're talking like broken pencils, random keys that you don't know what they open, maybe some batteries somewhere in there.
That may or may not work.
Not in the packet, of course.
Elastic bands.
Yeah.
Cable ties.
Something made of plastic that you really don't know what it's for, but you're keeping it anyway because you might need it one day.
Something that screws onto something, but you might have lost what it screws onto.
Exactly.
These are odds and ends, bits and pieces, thingamajigs stuff.
Yes. Nice collocations, Gav.
Yes, they are. I'm sorry you did so terribly at the quiz, but I'm sure you'll do better next time.
Not necessarily. Not when it comes to your quizzes. So how's your week been, Gav?
It has been pretty good. I spent a little time looking at dangling prepositions for you, Em.
I think you mentioned that last time as well.
I did, and I got a completely blank look from you, and then you just went on to tell me, who is worrying about putting prepositions at the end of sentences, Gav?
Not exactly. I queried with you about the whole structure of English questions, because that is the way we do it. We always put the preposition at the end of a question.
When you gave me those questions with prepositions at the end, they did sound completely normal. But can I read something to you, Em? Just to clarify my point on dangly bits at the end of your sentences.
Right, go ahead.
According to the freedictionary.com, what is a dangling preposition? Which I think is your question. Can I have that question back to me, please, Em?
Gav, what is a dangling preposition?
A dangling preposition, also called a hanging preposition or stranded preposition, refers to a preposition whose object occurs earlier in the sentence or does not have an object in that sentence at all. It is left dangling, I'm doing bunny ears now, hanging or stranded because it does not form a complete prepositional phrase.
I think we need an example here.
What's it for?
That's a dangling preposition.
Who's it about?
So it's like when the question word is the subject of the sentence. Gav, these are really normal questions and we use them all the time, so there can't be anything wrong with them.
Well, that's where I will give you the final sentence in this paragraph. According to thefreedictionary.com, despite what you may have been taught, Gav, it's a myth that ending a sentence or clause with a preposition is an error. I'm going to send the article to you. You don't need it, but you can read it if you want to, because you already know that you can end a sentence and a question with a preposition. It's perfectly normal.
Yeah, I know, because I listen to people. I think you knew that too, really. Perhaps what might be better, Gav, is if you read that article, and then you'll be on the same page as me.
I think you're probably right.
I've been thinking about something this week, Gav, and I want to talk to you about it, because I've had a few times the situation where I've gone to the lesson and I've said to the students, "Okay, everybody, what do you want to do today?" And at that point, I hear this heavy silence. And they say, "Oh, it's fine, whatever you want. We can do whatever you want." And I think that's very agreeable of them. So I've got the freedom, really, to do anything I like, which is fantastic as a teacher.
It's frightening, isn't it?
No, it's not frightening. It's fabulous. I mean,
You've got these people's future in your hands. You can decide what they do. They could be talking about ice cream. They could be practicing present perfect continuous or future perfect. They could be listening to pop songs and writing down the lyrics of those lovely pop songs. Is that where we're going with this conversation?
No, we're not going there, but you're right. The choice is infinite, and I'm lucky enough to not have a strict syllabus that I have to follow.
Do you think the students are saying, Teacher M, it's okay to do whatever you want because they're a bit shy to ask what they actually want to do?
Well, this is what I want to talk to you about. Because one time, one student said, "That's your job. Don't ask us, because basically it's your job to know what we need." And I really thought about that, because
How long did you think about that?
I've been thinking about it ever since. I've thought about it a long time, actually. It's been always in my head, sort of who should choose the materials. Because students, some students anyway, they come and they have a very clear idea what they want and what they want to practice and what their goals are and where their gaps are in their knowledge. But other students may not even know what their gaps are, and so they think the teacher is there to identify those gaps and to give them the error correction they need and teach them so that they don't make those mistakes. And that's a fair point, because some people just don't know. So it's a case-by-case thing, I think. But in the end, Gav, who do you think is the one who should choose?
Who's responsible for the students' learning?
Well, not just the learning, but the content of the learning. Should it come from the teacher? Should it come from the students? Or is it a mix? I guess you're going to say it should be a mix in an ideal world, because you live in this lovely utopia.
I remember that you told me that at the beginning of every course, you sit the students down and you say, "Okay, everyone, what shall we study on this course? You give me the topics, the grammar, the vocabulary. You just tell me everything that you need, and I will create a tailored course just for you and your class."
But if they don't come up with anything and they just say, "Well, we're happy with whatever you decide," is that acceptable, or would you push them?
Yeah, I would push them. I would say, "You've told me you want to learn business English. Here is a business English book. Tell me which of these topics seem really important. Is it telephone language? Is it presenting? Is it having meetings, chairing meetings? Just what is it exactly that you want to be able to do by the end of this course?"
You would actually bring out some materials in order to give them inspiration and get them to think, yeah.
And it makes my job a lot easier as well, because then I could use those resources directly. And another tip I've got for you, Em, is in the first lesson, say to the students, how about the theme or the topic of the future lessons? What kind of things do you want to talk about? Your family, your hobbies, your friends, your work? What exactly would you like? And then I ask all of my students to come up with at least 3 different topics. And then I write that on the board, in the chat, and on my special note paper that I have for each class, which I keep, and I make sure that I cover all of those topics throughout the course.
I like that. That's a really good tip, because at least 3 is not a lot for each individual student, but if you've got more than 2 or 3 students, that gives you a lot of topics.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many times they write the word beer.
But would you accept beer from all those different students, or would you say you can't have the same topic as another student?
I would accept beer, but I wouldn't accept the topic.
Okay, just beer itself. Groan.
No, I would say, I've already had that topic. Give me a different topic. Has to be a different spirit or something else.
Right, I like it, because I think I accept too easily the shrug and the whatever you want answer.
That's just not enough. They didn't come all this way to your classroom in order to just sit down and say, teach me.
I think they did, Gav. That's what I'm saying. And is that such a bad thing if they do come like that? Because maybe that's what they've been used to.
I don't accept these kind of students in my class. If they're just going to sit there and not be active in cooperation with their learning, in which I mean
Can I stop
they
you
need
there?
to say,
Whoa. They may be active in their learning. They may be very enthusiastic. They're just not coming up with topics. I've got students that are fabulous in lessons. They just don't come with anything. And I don't think that's such a bad thing. We have got the job of teaching. That is what we have to do. We haven't got to get, well, in my opinion, we haven't got to drag it out of them.
that's true. If they're simply attending because they want to do 60 minutes of English per week, then that's fine. But I like students who come to my class and say, Teacher Gav, I watched a really good TV series this weekend, and they used the expression, I can't abide that person. What does it mean?
I agree, and I love that too. If I could choose any cookie-cutter version of a student, that would be the one I chose. But that's just not reality. A lot of people don't want to think about things before they come. And then they come to the lesson, and every time they seem like completely surprised that you would ask them, is there anything you want to talk about? Is there anything you need to do with this lesson this week?
And my students are not surprised. They know as soon as they start the lesson, they are going to be asked a lot of questions and they need to come up with some pretty good answers.
Well, maybe I need to be more demanding then.
I think learning languages is a very demanding task.
Yeah. Leave it with me. I'll come back to you on that one.
I think we will return to this topic because it is enormous, and that was only a small slice of the pie of engagement.
Pie of engagement. We only skimmed the surface.
That is only the tip of the iceberg of participation and involvement, as far as I'm concerned, in regards to the students and me. At this point, I would like to introduce some grammar because this week I've mostly been practicing present perfect continuous for recently completed actions. Does this ring any bells?
I've been eating ice cream. And I wanted to say that because earlier you said students might want to talk about ice cream or present perfect continuous. And I thought, well, you could put them together.
That's a great combination.
So what have you been doing?
I've got a list of outcomes from my present perfect continuous situation. And I would like my student, and in this case it's going to be UM, to tell me what has been happening in order to result in the thing I describe.
Right, so we're using have or has with been and ing.
That's correct. Let me begin with my playful and funny questions. My results will be in the form of a question, and then I guess your answer will have to be in which tense, Em?
Present perfect continuous, Gav.
And I want it to be quite a spontaneous answer, so please, no dilly-dallying.
Okay.
Em, why is your hair wet?
Because I've been swimming.
Why do you have glitter all over your face?
I've been making a birthday card for my best friend.
Em, why is your phone in the freezer?
I've been dancing with the cupboard. No.
Dancing with the cupboard?
Why is my phone in the freezer? Because I've been trying to fix it. Don't know.
Maybe you've been calling a pizza.
In the freezer?
Well, you might want one of those frozen ones.
Doesn't explain it very well, but I've been ordering pizza while looking at the freezer and I've forgotten where I put my phone. That's present perfect.
You've discovered there's no pizza in the freezer and therefore you made the call to the pizza company and then you just put your phone down and, it's been left in the freezer. Why is your friend covered in feathers?
Because she's been fighting with a chicken.
Why is there a rubber duck in your pocket?
Because I've been shopping at the garden centre.
Why does he have bubbles coming out of his backpack?
His backpack? Because he's been selling a new washing powder and he's got a demo thing in there.
Why are your students wearing sunglasses indoors?
Because I've been dazzling them with my great classes.
Wow. Can you tell me, why is my face painted like a tiger?
Surely you know that. Because you've been practicing your Rudyard Kipling performance. Didn't he write the Jungle Book?
I think so. And finally, why, are you walking backwards?
Because I've been trying to do something different every day.
I like that answer. Those answers were really quite fabulous. Thank you very much. You didn't have to use present perfect continuous, but you did.
Some of them didn't feel so comfortable. I wanted to say I've just finished or I've just done, but it's okay. I think you really get the feeling of something long happening for a period of time that may continue. I think that's the difference. But will our students know the difference, Gav? That's what I'm wondering. Will the students understand what they're saying, or will they just be saying it because it's the correct tense? For the question, why are you walking backwards, they may say, because I've been...
Because I had to return this T-shirt to the shop?
Because I have been returning this T-shirt to the shop.
Ah.
And that's not quite right, but I feel like they would say it because they think that's what they need to say.
Yeah, well, that might need breaking down again. So why doesn't that sentence work, Em?
Just sounds like a very long action.
Repeating...
Doesn't even make sense. Why am I walking backwards? Because I'm returning something.
It's a joke like return. Go backwards.
That was a very good joke. Sorry, I get it now.
I guess you can't return the T-shirt more than once, so you wouldn't use present perfect continuous. You might use present perfect simple, because I've returned my T-shirt to the shop.
Yeah, I've just returned it. This is all very useful and interesting and a good way of correcting as you go through, but it might stunt the enjoyment of it because it's supposed to be a fast-paced, funny thing. I don't think you'd need to go so fast in a lesson, actually. You could just do it over a long period of time and really talk about the differences.
Alternatively, it could be a matching game where you've got the questions and the answers on different cards and the students need to just match them.
Yes, to simplify it, that would be fine. But I did quite like the generating of the sentences myself. I thought that was very good.
It was for a high-level student, but in the case of a lower-level student, a matching exercise would be good, and then take away one of those sentences, and then the student either recalls the question or recalls the answer, or, as you've demonstrated, creates their own fabulous sentence.
I liked it, though. It was funny. And I liked your matching idea, too.
Thanks, Em.
I was a little bit frustrated this week, Gav. Spent an entire lesson, 90 minutes, teaching the nuances of emailing.
I thought you were going to say teaching the pants out of this grammar point.
Thought I did actually teach the pants out of emailing. Made the really big point about the greeting with dear or hi, and then the name of the person, and we went through all the titles that people have, like Mr., Ms. Made sure there was a comma after that title and name, highlighted in yellow on the screen, capital letter after the comma, even though, weirdly, it's on the next line. And that's a weird rule, isn't it? That we always capitalise the first sentence of an email, even though it's preceded by a comma.
You're quite right. That is unusual.
But I really thought I'd nailed it, yeah?
Why did you think you'd nailed it, Em?
Well, because I spent a long time talking about it.
Okay, so you talking a long time means that you've nailed it.
Highlighting, circles, things, arrows.
Those are all very important features of emails.
Yeah.
Except probably just drop the comma now, because it seems very old-fashioned, Em.
Is this your opinion? Drop the comma? Have you ever seen it?
All the time.
All right, okay, wait, whoa. This is far too controversial, Gav. No.
All right, we'll do a different conversation, a different time about emailing. I don't want to start anything that I can't finish.
Yeah, that is another direction. So anyway, I got to the end of the lesson. I felt I'd done quite a good job.
It sounds amazing.
And then I got an email from the student to say they couldn't come to the following lesson the next week. And guess what?
Did they spell your name wrong?
No, that was fine.
You know, they often spell my name wrong.
Do they?
It's amazing, the variety of mistakes they could make.
They spell it with a J.
For example.
Anyway, so yeah. Hi, or I think it was, hi, M, and then the comma, and then the next line.
Was it a capital letter?
No. So, just makes me think, what happens when I speak? Do they just not hear me?
There appears to be a disconnect between your teaching and reality.
That is correct. I think that you're right. What could I do, Gav?
Well, as you were describing your fantastic lesson to me, and how you said you broke down each of the key components to an email, commas, capital letters, addressing to specific people, I thought to myself, at the end of that lesson, I wonder if I'd remember to go back and ask the students what they remembered from those key features.
Yeah, CCQ, is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
Concept checking questions.
But it's not a guarantee that all the students have absorbed this knowledge and will therefore be able to use that into the future, because these habits are habits.
That is what a habit is, I guess.
If you've got a bad habit, it's hard to kick that bad habit, Em.
Yeah. So what I did was I just wrote back and highlighted the first letter of my email.
Of your email?
Yeah, that's fine, with a capital T with a highlighted bit on it.
I like that. What colour was the highlight?
Yellow.
Of course it was.
So I don't know if it went in, but let's hope so.
You know what I do?
What?
I highlight their part of the email that's in the reply.
Ooh. Yeah, I could do that too.
And I might, at the bottom of my email, after saying, I'm sorry to hear you're not going to be able to attend next week's lesson, but I hope you can attend the following week, in brackets below, see corrections in your email. Just to make sure they can see those highlighted errors.
Very direct.
And why are they making mistakes?
I think it's just their own language. It's not the way they do it. Because the other thing was also quite heavily stressed in the lesson, that we don't say have a good time at the end of an email unless we've told someone we're going to a party or we're going on a holiday for a specific thing.
It's very specific.
Like, have a good time on your holiday. But generally we write have a good
day
or
week.
Yeah, that's also something I teach. But again, it's a very cultural thing to write that in your own language. And the other big one, Gav, that I'm sure you're familiar with is I look forward to...
Hear.
Yeah, they write I look forward to hear from you. And I don't think that's a cultural language thing. I think that's just really hard to remember.
That is really, really tricky. Use a gerund after look forward to plus gerund or a noun form such as the party.
So I'm looking forward to, or I look forward to the party, or I'm looking forward to dancing at the party.
Seeing you at the bar.
Dancing on the tables. Eating the canapes.
Oh, these all sound quite delightful and grammatically correct, Em.
Yeah. But you've got to really keep going over it and over it and over it.
Sorry to keep going on, but where is the disconnect? How can we reconnect this disconnect? Why can they not learn and then apply in the real world?
I think they can, but it just takes time. I think you've got to repeat and go through it in a different way. Maybe error correct an email that's got the mistakes in there. If it comes to it, you've got to start picking out specific students and saying, right, you wrote this to me. What's wrong with it?
I was going to say, you could also show that email to the group and say, can we see any mistakes here? But I wouldn't like to embarrass the student.
Depends on the class, but it is a little bit name and shame, isn't it?
Makes me feel a bit uncomfortable.
Gav, it must be time for...
Quiz of the week.
And just for something different, I'm going to be asking you the questions this time.
No way.
Yes way.
That's lucky because I forgot to prepare something for this week.
Oh, isn't that lucky? Yes. Well, okay. I've got some verbs here that are actually the names of animals.
Verbs that are also names of animals.
Let me give you an example. So the animal ape.
That is an animal, gorilla-y, monkey type thing, swings in trees, etc.
Yeah.
Bit furry.
You can actually have that as an action or as a verb, to ape. Do you know what it means?
Is it to mimic?
Yes, it is.
To ape someone?
Yes. Maybe at the party, one of your colleagues aped the boss, which is probably a bit of a risk.
That is a risk, but then after a few canapes, maybe you're feeling a bit lightheaded.
Canapes don't make you feel lightheaded.
It depends what's in them, Em.
What? A vodka vol-au-vent, is that what you're talking about? What I'm going to do is give you a sentence.
Did I get a point for that one?
No, you didn't. That was the example. So I'm going to give you a sentence, and there'll be a gap in the sentence. And you have to complete the sentence with a verb that is an animal.
Wow. Okay, my brain is racing to think how many animals are also verbs. So, yeah, go ahead.
Number 1. My best friend is never happy with what she's wearing. She's always blank for compliments.
And does blank represent the word that I need to guess?
Yes. For compliments, this is a very strong one that goes together with compliments.
Is it a big animal or a small? Can I ask questions?
You can.
Is it goose? Do you goose for compliments?
No, you've got your rod, you're sitting next to the lake.
Fishing. She's fishing for compliments. You know, you can also say angling.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, very good. But I guess fish is the action to catch fish. So fish is also kind of what you do to get the fish.
Yeah, I guess you fish for fish.
Anyway, it is an animal. Number 2. Oh no, there's something coming towards you. You need to blank.
Oh, I know this one.
What?
Duck.
That's right.
That was good, wasn't it?
That was good. What does it mean?
Immediately knew the answer because I did, in fact, duck. I moved my head down to avoid being hit by the, what was it? Hammer?
I don't know. I hadn't really come up with anything. It was just something, yes.
It sounded like a hammer or a brick or something, or maybe a tennis racket.
Good, very good. Number 3. Wow, you must be really hungry because you are blank that meal.
Because you are?
Blank that meal.
Is it to wolf?
Yes.
You are wolfing?
Yes, you're wolfing that meal.
To wolf, you are wolfing. I am wolfing the meal, meaning to eat it very fast.
Yeah.
To be honest, I do wolf my food. I should eat a lot more carefully and slowly, but I love wolfing something down, Em.
Yeah, we do use it with down a lot of the time, to wolf it down. But you can say you're wolfing that.
I think we use a lot of prepositions. Like, for example, I've just thought to duck out. I need to duck out of this meeting.
With prepositions, it's possible. Yeah, you would.
Added meaning.
Next one. The newspapers said that the criminal was blank on by his gang.
And it's an animal.
Yeah, they're all animals. Did you not get that?
Which is also a verb.
Yes.
To be... ratted?
Ratted on.
To be ratted on.
To be ratted on.
Not ratted out.
Oh, is it out? Ratted out? Ratted on? I think it's both.
Yeah.
So what's that mean, to be ratted out?
To be ratted out or to be ratted on would mean that somebody has told somebody in authority that you've done an illegal thing, I guess, to tell on somebody.
Accuse, maybe, or no, it's not really accuse, is it? It's more just to... Expose them, yes.
It's quite informal, slang, or possibly derogatory.
Yes, it is. Next one. Some people would say that formal education, where you repeat everything over and over, blank fashion, is not very effective.
Blank fashion.
Blank fashion.
I think I've got some of their clothes.
No. Some people would say that traditional methods of teaching, where you just repeat the same thing again and again, blank fashion, is not very effective.
I'm going through my list of animals that might be verbs and I'm not coming up with anything, Em. Could you describe the animal to me?
It's a bird, very colourful.
Peacock fashion?
No. You find them in the jungle.
Crow fashion?
No.
Parrot fashion? Parrot fashion?
Parrot fashion.
Of course it's parrot fashion.
To parrot doesn't have to be fashion, it could just be to parrot.
To parrot somebody?
Would be...
To repeat what they said?
Yeah, that's what parrots do, isn't it? They parrot you.
I guess it suggests it's quite mechanical, Em. Parrot fashion. You tell me, I repeat it word for word.
That's right. Ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will go out. Just give me 5 minutes. Stop. Blank me.
This is badgering.
Yeah, you got that
I
fast.
did get it fast.
What's that mean? To badger someone.
To badger means to annoy them by repeatedly asking for something.
Pestering. Nagging. Yes, good. How many more do you want?
Give us a couple more, Em.
Remember that drawer we were talking about in the kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It's always got things in it. It's like everybody has to blank things so that they can have them for later. No.
Hoard.
It's like everybody has to blank things away so that they can keep them for later.
I know this one too.
What is it?
It's to squirrel things.
Yeah.
I'm going to squirrel them away.
Meaning?
Keep things, hide, reserve, stash, hoard, all of those things are quite nice.
And it usually goes with away, out of sight.
Mmm.
Final one?
Yep.
They just don't stop talking. All they do is blank, blank, blank.
Is this rabbit, rabbit, rabbit?
Yes, it is a famous song.
I think I know that song.
Rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. Means what, Gav?
Just talk and talk and talk. I will not stop babbling, chit-chatting. What were our other words from last week?
Jibber-jabbering, I think we had.
Nattering. That's it.
Rabbit, rabbit, rabbit.
It sounds pretty negative, though.
Yeah, I suppose it is. But it's weird, isn't it? Because rabbits do not make any noise, really. They're not the loudest of animals.
I think they stamp on the ground sometimes when they're really angry.
Yeah, but that's not what I think of if I think of people rabbiting. I think of, I don't know, what kind of animal? Chicken or something. Like, something that makes a noise constantly. It's probably from Cockney rhyming slang. Do you want to find out?
I happen to know the origins of rabbit. Would you like to know all about it?
I would love to know.
Apparently, it's from rabbit and pork.
Oh, that's not making it clear at all. Rabbit and pork, like pig meat. Rabbit and pork talk.
You've got it.
It's Cockney rhyming slang. So rabbit and pork talk got shortened to just rabbit. Oh, Gav, thanks.
There you go. That is a fact you will never forget.
Test me later. I'll see.
I really enjoyed your quiz of the week. I learnt so many things and it reminded me there are just so many of those animals which are also verbs. I could just slot straight into a casual conversation.
We didn't even get to fox, to bug, to ram, to weasel.
Oh, they're really good ones as well. Maybe we'll come back to this topic sometime. Maybe the followers have their own suggestions for us, Em, and they could send them to us.
That would be great.
Well, enough of this rabbit and pork talk. I think it's time for us to say thank you to the followers. Thank you, Em. Thank you, Gav. Thank you, everybody. We'll meet you again on another episode because before you know it, we'll be back with another episode of How to English Teach and Learn with Gav and Em.
Time's going to fly, I'm sure. And I'm looking forward to podding with you again next time.
And we will ferret out some new topics for our next episode.
Bye, Gav.
Catch you later.